Hello, my name is Brandon Johnson, and I'm going to talk to you today about my new app, PLUTOPay. PLUTOPay is a money transferring app that provides the convenience of transferring money instantly via your phone. This app is in the same vein as Venmo, Cash App, all of those household names that we've become familiar with over the years. But we're going to talk today about how I developed PlutoPay in the design realm. We're also going to talk about what really sets PlutoPay apart and how we came up with that. Um, so the original idea for PlutoPay was to target the demographic of users that were maybe a little more uncomfortable with transferring money via an app. This was also trying to target the users who just kind of felt it was a little overcomplicated when they were trying to use apps like Venmo and Cash App and those types. So we really wanted to design an app that was simple, easy to use, but didn't sacrifice in the security department. So, of course, with that, we had to kind of come up with an idea of what our competitors do and what we can do to set ourselves aside. So, with that, we had the idea of implementing a verification pin. And that was kind of devolved from testing current users of other money transferring apps and finding what it was that made them feel unsafe, maybe what made them leave the app. So after that, we discovered that it was actually the quick payment, the instant payment that truly made users feel uncomfortable. They wanted more safety features. They wanted to know and feel that their money was protected no matter who they were sending it to because the app had their back. So once we were able to get that, we made some mock-ups for what this verification pin would look like, how it would function. And so as you can see here, with our higher fidelity mock-ups, the user would put in their username of the receiver, they would put in their amount, and then they would actually get the choice to send a verification pin or not. If they did choose to, they could actually text a code to that receiver. The receiver would then have to put it in on their end, and then hopefully this would make sure that that user felt comfortable. Now, before we got into further testing this, we did want to make sure that we had an app that flowed. So with that, we did create this flow here. As you can see, what I really like you to learn from this basically is that there's not a ton of features on this app. So that was by design. We really wanted to make sure that this app was not bogged down with useless features that would confuse our user base. Again, to reiterate, the goal is to really get that demographic of users who are a little less tech savvy than others may be. So this is the flow here. This is how the user would interact with the app. Once that was all figured out, then we were able to get some mock-ups together. This was the first iteration here for wireframing PlutoPay. You can see it's black and white. The dashboard there is very basic. And at this point in the process, they actually did not even have that opportunity to skip the verification. That was with further testing and finding out that we didn't want to ostracize the user group who didn't feel they needed that extra security, but we still wanted to implement that for the users who did want to use it for that. So after we were able to come up with that mock-up, we ran the results through, or I should say, ran those screens through another test group. What we were able to find is some really positive feedback on the verification pin. We really found that it made our users feel safe. It made them feel like they weren't just sending their money into the atmosphere, into the internet somewhere, but that by sending that code, they could actually know that the receiver was getting the money they were sending them. After all of those rounds of testing were done, we were able to come up with the final iterations. So as you can see here, these are some of the final screens we had. So as you can see, the dashboard especially did change. We did keep those pay and request buttons, but we did also implement a couple other things just to make it easier for the user. The transfer balance button to send it right back to their bank, as well as we did incorporate a quick pay with just their most recent users that they've sent money to. So we did show that on there as well. Now, I did want to talk a moment just about the style of PlutoPay. So as you can see here, the color palette was mostly these mint greens, light grays, and blues. This was to remain as professional as possible. So So we didn't want to go too crazy with the color scheme and make it something that seemed a little too crazy, maybe a little unprofessional, more like a toy. So we did want to add these colors here by making it feel a little bit more like going to the bank. So we didn't want it to be just grays. We wanted it to be exciting, but not too crazy. The fonts we used here were also really important. We wanted it very easily digestible. We did change a couple things in fonts for numbers that people are used to and logos, especially as well. Icons were a big one as well with this. We wanted to make sure these were recognizable icons that the user would know exactly what they're going to be used for, like a home, little envelope, that those three lines that most people have become accustomed to knowing that that's a menu option there. These help the user just know what they're doing. And when you're dealing with their money, especially, you deserve to know what you're doing. With that, in conclusion, at the end of all of that testing, we really did find what was at the root of making people feel comfortable and what was not. We're kind of merging into this new territory of currency that is unknown for a lot of users. So we want to welcome them in with that. So that's where all of that testing was important because these are real people we're dealing with. So we wanted to make sure that they felt included in this next step of currency in the world. Um, and so with all of those results, with all of our mock-ups, we were able to really get an app together that appreciated those people. So that was PlutoPay. Thank you so much for listening.